Hey guys, welcome to my podcast Motivation Unleashed. Are you someone who is currently dealing with a really tough situation? It could be to do with your family. Perhaps you're a young adult or a teenager who's dealt with or is currently dealing with a very tough family situation. Maybe to do with your parents, maybe they're divorced, or there could be family violence, there could be alcohol related problems there could be so many things which makes you feel like my life is just not going anywhere or I have no future. Perhaps you're someone who's dealing with a really tough stint in school. You might not be doing that great in your education, you might be failing your exams, and you feel like there's really no hope for me. This is, my life is just going to go down this path where I might not have a bright future. Perhaps you're someone who is being consistently bullied by your friends and you're just feeling like my life has no hope. Today, I'm going to talk to you about something very important to all of us, which is hope. And also the fact that your current situation does not define you as a person or your future. There are many people in life who deal with a lot of trials and tribulations, a lot of tough circumstances, and they end up having a really great life, and they end up being so much better for it. So join me on this topic today as I talk to you about hope and how bright your future can be. Welcome to Motivation Unleashed once again. So let me start off by talking about your present life. You could be someone who's growing up in a really tough family situation, right? You could be, perhaps your mom and dad is consistently fighting, having arguments. There's no peace in the house. You can't seem to focus on whatever you want to do with your life. You feel like there's no mental peace, and it could feel like you're just dealing with a grind or a fight. Like each day of your life tends to be a battle. It's not an ideal situation, right? I mean, all of us, especially when we are growing up, especially when we are reaching to young adulthood, we need stability. Like we need a stable family, we need a loving family which helps us thrive and grow. And all of us are not blessed or lucky in that way. There are many people who just deal with really tough situations, and they end up growing up in this very toxic background where they get caught in between their parents, perhaps having arguments. This the constant fighting, and they just do not know how to deal with it because as a kid you want to be a kid, right? You want to play, you want to have fun, you want to feel safe, and you want to feel loved. And when you don't get that, especially when you're growing up, it tends to be really tough. And I've always seen two kinds of people. There are the people who really go down with it, like they get into depression, or because they don't want to hang around their parents or their house, they get out of the house and they start associating all these negative or bad people, bad friends, who take them down this whole path of trying different things which are not necessarily good for you. It could be related to drugs, it could be smoking, it could be alcohol, and those kind of people, they end up going down this whole spiral, and it's a spiral downwards. They don't really focus on anything in their life, and before they know it, a few years down the track, their whole life is just filled with so much negativity, so much toxicity, so much of bad habits, right? And they end up in a really bad place. There are also these other group of people who take that as a learning experience. I mean, they deal with all these tough situations, tough circumstances, and they kind of still keep their focus together. They try to they try to focus on their life. They try to perhaps build up a skill. Maybe they focus on their studies. Maybe they try and associate it. Maybe they get closer to some spiritual, some religious thing which helps them through those trying times, and they go down a very different positive path, and they use that negative bad experience or that tough experience which they've had in their life to actually make themselves better and thrive and grow, right? So there are all these two types of people. So my question to you is, what type of person do you want to be? If you look at your life now, maybe you are dealing with a really tough family situation where there's family violence involved, there's no peace of mind. It could even relate to your studies. You might be one of those kids who's not doing very well in your studies, and your teachers might not be giving you much focus because they feel, you know what, this guy is or this girl is not really studying or not really focused, right? So you might feel like, what am I going to do with my life? I'm really not good with this. I might not get through my exams. I might not make it. And you might be in this situation. You feel like there's absolutely no hope for yourself, right? But let me tell you from personal experience, whenever you feel like you're losing hope, understand that that situation you're currently in is not your final or the situation you will be in forever. You will move on, right? And I guess it all comes down to how you deal with that situation. You always need to, the first most important thing is that you need to have hope. You need to have hope, and you need to have this mental focus in your mind saying that someday I'm going to get through this, and this is not forever. Like, we need to understand that in our lives nothing is permanent. Any situation we're in, it could be your family, it could be your studies, it could be a job, it could be anything, but nothing is permanent. Life is all about change. Life is constant, and life always moves forward. What makes the difference is how you deal with your present situations and how you take it, and the attitude you take it with, right? So if you're someone who's dealing with a very, very tough family situation, you need to understand that does not define you as a person, and that is not permanent, and your future will not, the future of your life will not depend on that situation. See, most people go down this whole downward spiral where they think, my life is not going to be great. I'm just stuck. I'll never amount to anything. I'll never make it. See, all these negative thoughts you need to filter out. Do not lose hope at any point in your life. Your life, there's so many things you can experience, and your future will depend on how you deal with your present situation. So do not let whatever you're dealing with in your life at the moment define you as a person. It's not your final stage, or it's not the final stage of your life. Your future is always bright. Your future is always full of great things for you, as long as you understand how to deal with the tough circumstances, right? And how you face it, how you shift your mental status, and how you change your attitude, and how you deal with that challenge. So always learn to face your challenges head on. So if you're someone who's in a situation where you're dealing with all these tough circumstances, what can you do? What can you do to make sure that you're actually focused and you're actually going to get out of that situation and move ahead? Again, there's no one answer for this. It all depends on what kind of a situation or circumstance you're dealing with. If it's something which is really toxic and you feel like there's absolutely no way for you to move forward, you need to seek help. If it's something to do with family violence, if it's something to do with alcohol or drugs, and you're in this really toxic situation in your life, you need to seek help. It could be in the form of counseling. There's plenty of organizations out there which really focus on helping people. So you should seek help, and you need to get out of that situation, especially if that situation's impacting your physical well-being and your mental well-being, right? So you need to seek help, and you need to get yourself out of that situation before you can actually start focusing on your life, right? So when you're dealing with those situations, you need to first of all learn to ignore the noise. There's a lot of noise. Like every day as we go through our life, you'll see a lot of lot of things which come your way. And especially if you're dealing with you're someone who's dealing with all these tough and negative situations, you need to learn to ignore that noise, and you need to develop your mind to actually, perhaps you shift your focus, and you do not let those thoughts consistently impact your mind. So you shift your focus. Maybe you set some goals for yourself. It could be some short-term goals where you're thinking, yes, I'm dealing with all these things, but I'm going to focus. For an example, I'm going to focus on building up this skill. I'm going to focus on I might set up a little business, and I'll focus my energy on that. Or it could be something where maybe there's a field of interest you want to study. You might do some research and see how you can get into that field, and start studying, or maybe get an internship. Look for work in that area, and just build up your skills, and have a defined goal for yourself where you're consistently working towards it, right? So it could be, you might be having this one massive goal which you want to achieve, a couple of years down the track. So maybe start working towards it by setting some mini goals which will kind of get you there, like goalposts, or those checkpoints which will help you achieve that long-term goal, right? So you need to change. So your energy and your focus needs to move away from that negative situation you're dealing with, right? So you need to set goals for yourself, and you need to focus, and you need to consistently work on it. See, you see that when you're actually focusing your energy on something positive, something which is going to impact or change your life in a positive way, and as you achieve the milestones or the steps of that goal, and you feel like you're getting closer to that goal, that will give you more energy, more hope, right? And you feel like you're making this progress. There's hope for me. I know I can actually get out of this situation, and you consistently build up on that, right? So you need to keep that focus. You need to keep your momentum going, and just work towards, so part of that goal could be you getting yourself out of that toxic situation, be it family, be it bad friends. If you're someone who's been bullied, or someone who's struggling with your studies, there are things you can do to actually get out of the situation. In some of those circumstances, you might need to seek help. You might need to seek help from organizations. You might need to, if there's some really good family members or friends who you can confide in, who know those people actually have your best interests in their heart, you can actually talk to them and seek help. It's also important not to keep all those things bottled up, in your mind. If you need to talk to someone and you need help, you need to seek that help. So keep focusing, and you also need to keep persevering. So the important thing is not to give up. Again, I'm repeating this to you. Your present situation does not define you as a person. Just because you fail in some exams does not mean that you're a failure in life. There are so many people I know who's failed many things in life. It could be in their studies, they were not doing well, and they failed, they dropped out of school, but they built up a very, very great life for themselves. They persevered, they discovered themselves, they found that they're good at doing business, they built up a business, and they achieved great levels of success. Or they found out that just because I'm not good in my studies does not mean that there's no other options for me. There are some people who suddenly discover this industry, and they're really passionate about it, and they start learning, and they actually discover that they can study, they do have the capability, right? It's the same with family. There are plenty of people who's dealt with such trials and such negative situations in their family, with family violence and alcohol and the parents fighting and all these things, and they've gone out to build such great lives for themselves. And they have their families of their own, and they have great families, they're great parents, right? So there's always hope. It's how you deal with your situations and how you set your mind and how you set your focus, and on one, getting out of the situation, and two, setting goals for yourself, discovering yourself, and figuring out what you want to do and working towards it. So that is all I want to talk to you about today. And the most important thing is you need to keep persevering. Do not give up. Do not give up hope. There is always hope, and there is a great life for you out there. You just need to keep working at it. You just need to be focused, and you need to ignore the noise. So once again, thank you for listening to me, and I hope I brought some form of value to you. I am also on socials. You can follow me on my YouTube channel, or I'm also on Instagram and TikTok. So have a great day once again. So remember, always stay motivated and unleash the power of your mind. Have a great day, guys.